Some people don't fall in love, they attach. They don't drift slowly into connection. They rush toward it, not because they are desperate, because their mind believes closeness must be secured fast before it disappears. This is the quiet psychology of people who care too much, too quickly, and mistake intensity for safety. This research examines the mind of people who love intensely, not because they want to control others, but because they fear abandonment. Anxious attachment turns care into urgency and connection into self-sacrifice. The narrative exposes trauma bonding, where emotional instability is mistaken for love. Ultimately, it shows how deep care can remain, while learning boundaries that create safe, healthy love. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. People who care too much too quickly are often misunderstood. From the outside, they look emotionally intense, overly invested, or impatient with the natural pace of relationships. But inside, something very different is happening. What drives them is not neediness, it is memory. Not conscious memory, but emotional memory stored deep in the mind. For many of them, love did not arrive gently in childhood. It came inconsistently. One moment there was warmth, attention, and closeness. The next, there was distance, silence, or emotional withdrawal. No explanation, no warning, just absence. Over time, the heart learned something crucial. Connection is fragile. When love feels unpredictable, the body adapts. It becomes alert, watchful, hyper-aware of emotional shifts. This is how anxious attachment forms, not as a personality trait, but as a survival response. As children, these individuals learned that being close required effort. They learned to read moods, anticipate emotional changes, and adjust themselves to keep connection alive. Love became something that had to be earned, maintained, and protected. That learning does not disappear in adulthood. So when they meet someone new and feel warmth, interest, or emotional resonance, their system responds with urgency. Not excitement alone, urgency. The body remembers how easily closeness can vanish. Speed becomes a form of protection. Intensity becomes a way to secure safety. They don't rush because they want to control the relationship. They rush because their body is trying to prevent loss. This is why they care so deeply, so fast. Why they open emotionally early. Why they share their inner world before trust has fully formed. Emotional closeness feels like anchoring, a way to stabilize something before it slips away. Silence, for them, is not neutral. It feels loaded. A delayed reply can trigger a wave of anxiety. Not because they are obsessed, but because silence once meant emotional disappearance. The mind doesn't reason, it reacts. And so they show up with warmth, attentiveness, and emotional generosity. They ask questions, they listen deeply, they invest early, they try to be memorable, irreplaceable, meaningful. But beneath all that care is a quiet belief they may not even be aware of. If I don't show how much I care now, I might lose my chance. This belief shapes everything. How they attach, how they love, and how they fear. At some point, caring too much stops being just about connection and starts becoming about worth. People with anxious attachment don't ask the same questions others do when entering relationships. They don't ask, is this person right for me? Or how do I feel around them over time? Instead, their focus shifts outward. Do they still want me? Did I say too much? Am I losing them? Slowly, subtly, their sense of value begins to depend on how close someone stays. This is where fear of abandonment becomes fear of being unwanted. When someone pulls back, even slightly, it doesn't feel like space, it feels like rejection. And rejection doesn't just hurt, it activates shame. A deep, quiet shame that whispers, "You're not enough." That's why they're leaving. To avoid that feeling, they adapt. They become easier, more understanding, more flexible. They minimize their needs, they over-explain their feelings so they won't be misunderstood. They apologize for emotions that don't require apologies. They learn to overgive emotionally, not because they expect something in return, but because giving feels safer than asking. If they provide warmth, patience, and emotional availability, maybe they won't be left. Inside their mind, the dialogue sounds like this: if I'm kind enough, they'll stay. If I don't ask for much, I won't push them away. If I understand them deeply, they'll understand me eventually. Boundaries begin to soften. Their needs become negotiable. Their discomfort becomes something to endure rather than address. They merge emotionally, not because they want to lose themselves, but because separation feels dangerous. But here's the painful paradox. The more they give, the less seen they feel. Because when care is driven by fear, it stops being mutual. They give freely, but unconsciously keep track, not to manipulate, but to feel reassured. And when the effort isn't matched, it confirms their deepest fear. I care more because I matter less. This belief hurts quietly. It doesn't explode, it erodes. Over time, it turns warmth into exhaustion and love into anxiety. Caring too much becomes less about joy and more about survival. And this is where many of them fall into the most confusing pattern of all, trauma bonding. For people who care too much too quickly, calm can feel unfamiliar. Consistency can feel flat. Predictability can feel empty. But emotional intensity, that feels alive. Trauma bonding happens when the mind confuses emotional highs and lows with connection. When closeness feels earned through effort, pain, or endurance. These relationships often begin with strong chemistry, deep conversations, emotional vulnerability early on, a sense of being seen in a way that feels rare. Then comes distance, sudden withdrawal, mixed signals, inconsistency. And instead of walking away, the anxious system activates. The distance triggers pursuit. The pursuit deepens attachment. When closeness returns, relief floods the body. That relief is powerful. It reinforces the bond. The heart learns, love is anxiety followed by relief. So calm relationships feel dull, not because they lack depth, but because they don't activate the same chemical cycle. Stability doesn't spike adrenaline. Safety doesn't create emotional whiplash. This is why people who care too much often stay too long in relationships that hurt them. They mistake emotional endurance for loyalty. They believe that understanding someone's wounds will heal the connection. They romanticize suffering as depth. Hope becomes addictive. They stay not for what the relationship is, but for what it could become, for potential, for the version of the person they glimpse during rare moments of closeness. Leaving feels like failure, like giving up, like confirming the belief that they are unlovable unless they try harder. So they self-blame. If I were calmer, this wouldn't happen. If I were less emotional, they'd stay. If I didn't care so much, I wouldn't get hurt. They carry responsibility for emotional chaos they didn't create. Over time, the cost becomes heavy. Chronic anxiety, emotional exhaustion, a fading sense of identity outside relationships. They become so focused on maintaining connection that they forget how to exist without it. And eventually, a quiet question begins to form. What if love doesn't need to hurt to be real? That question marks the beginning of healing. Healing for people who care too much too quickly does not begin with becoming colder. It begins with becoming safer internally. Because caring deeply is not the problem. Abandoning yourself is. Healthy attachment doesn't remove emotion, it regulates it. It replaces urgency with curiosity, fear with steadiness, performance with presence. In secure connection, closeness unfolds over time. There is space to observe, not rush. Silence does not automatically mean rejection. Distance does not require pursuit. Learning this takes patience, especially for a heart trained to react. The first step is learning to pause. Not every emotional trigger needs immediate action. Not every fear needs to be resolved through reassurance. Sometimes the most powerful response is stillness, letting the body settle before the mind decides. Boundaries are not walls, they are clarity. They separate connection from self-worth. They allow you to say no without fearing abandonment. They allow you to need without apologizing. For people who care deeply, boundaries can feel like betrayal, as if protecting themselves means withholding love. But in reality, boundaries protect warmth. They prevent burnout. They make care sustainable. Another crucial shift is learning mind regulation. Anxious attachment is not healed through logic alone. It heals through safety, through self-soothing, through learning that emotions can rise and fall without catastrophe. This might mean slowing down relationships, choosing consistency over chemistry, presence over potential, emotional availability over intensity. It might mean noticing who feels calm, not just exciting, who shows up steadily, not dramatically. And most importantly, it means keeping your warmth without offering it at the cost of yourself. You don't need to love less. You don't need to become distant. You don't need to harden your heart. You only need to love slower. Because people who care too much too quickly don't need to be fixed. They need safety inside themselves first. When safety grows within, love no longer feels like something you must chase. It becomes something you can choose. And for the first time, caring deeply feels like a gift, not a risk. Thanks for watching. Cheers.